Hello and welcome to the Elite Field In-Service and Overview, Part 1 of a 3-part series. Elite Field is the new electronic PCR, or patient care reporting program, we will be using to enter our run reports in place of the Field Bridge program we are using now. We plan on going live with Elite on January 1st of 2017. After completion of this in-service, you will be able to log in and begin to familiarize yourself with Elite's features, and as part of this training course, you will be given a scenario to enter into Elite as you would if you actually had been on the call. So let's get started. So we got two new Surface Pro 4 computers, and we will be getting a third one after the first of the year. Some of the features: touchscreen display, you can use your finger or a stylus pen. It also has a backlit keyboard here. It's fully detachable. Like I said, the stylus pen is really good for being able to use signatures. We'll get more into signatures in part 2. Once you either detach the keyboard or fold this keyboard up underneath, it can act as a tablet as well as a PC. So for now, we are only going to be using the Surface Pro 4 to enter PCRs. This is the only computer to enter the PCRs for Elite. I'll get more into that later, but just use the Surface Pro 4. So on the back side, you can see it's got this case that surrounds the computer. It's a pretty rugged mil-spec case. The adjustable stand comes out into different notches, and it fully collapses into the case itself, so it can lay flat. This is what the desktop looks like. Just a few things that I wanted to point out. When you first log in, this Elite desktop client, this is so we can import our EKGs. Sometimes whenever you log in, you will notice that this little window is popped up. You can just go ahead and close this out. It doesn't have to be open or running. Just if you see that, just go ahead and click close. So the next thing on the desktop that will be on all of the computers is this HIM files folder. You can just click on that, and you will see there's a couple of files in there. We may add more later, but for now, the formulary is in there, the protocols are in there. So let's go ahead and get started and just click on our Elite Field login. Alright, so your login and your password is going to be the same as what you used on the Field Bridge. One of the first things you'll notice when it logs in is this syncing. It's automatic. You don't have to go in and click on sync. Once it does sync, I'll show you a way that you can go in and sync if you need to. Or if you feel like some information that didn't get pushed down or whatever the case is. One of the important things to keep in mind with this new program, Elite runs within your web browser. It's not a program like Field Bridge that was installed actually on the computer. It all runs within your web browser. This is one of the reasons why I was saying earlier that we just want to enter PCRs on the Surface Pro 4s for now, because they're set up to use Chrome as the recommended web browser. This is your dashboard. Under settings, you can see it's got the sync resources. If you click that, it'll do the same thing. It should do it automatically, but for whatever reason, if you feel like it needs to be synced, you can go ahead and do that there. Another thing to take note of is that with Elite, you are able to utilize the Elite Field program while in offline mode. If you happen to be in an area that you do not have access to Wi-Fi when you initiate your PCR, like for example on the scene of a call, you are still able to access Elite Field and begin your PCR. Note that in order to sync Elite Field or post your PCR, you have to be connected to Wi-Fi at that time. After you're connected to Wi-Fi, once you attempt to perform a manual sync or post, it will give you this notification that your credentials have expired and you must re-log in to continue the online session. The Surface Pro 4 computers are configured to access Elite Field while in offline mode, and is another reason to only use the Surface Pro 4 to enter your PCR. This area is the dashboard, and over here on the left side, this allows you to set crew members and unit and shift information that will populate directly into the run report each time that you add a new report. This is somewhat impractical since we don't have dedicated crews or dedicated crews assigned to specific units. You don't have to enter in anything over here on the left side. You can certainly add that information directly into the run report itself, but it's over there if you want to use that. Here in the middle it shows a list of the incidents that you have completed or that you're currently working on. To open up one of those incidents, you just click on this box over here to the right with the arrow in it, and it'll take you to that incident. Over here to the right side, there's 3 different views that you can choose that changes how this information is displayed here in the middle. It's the same information, it's just a preference on how you want it displayed. To add a new incident, you can just click on the new incident bar at the top, or you can go over here to this drop down box where it says other forms, and it pulls up a list of the 4 different templates that we can use to add a run report. The 911 scene response is the default template. When you click on new incident, it will default to this 911 scene response. The main difference between the inter-facility transfer and the 911 scene response: within the report under incident address, the incident location type defaults to hospital, and there's a drop-down menu for incident facility or location name, such as Herman Area District Hospital, and it auto-populates the address in there for you. Down at the bottom, there's also an area under billing information that's not in the 911 scene response template. This is an area that you can add physician certification statement information into the report. The call cancel standby template should only be used if there's no patient contact made of any kind. The AMA refusal of care template can be used if there is patient contact made, but there's no transport. The main reason for the different templates is calls like a call cancel standby or AMA refusal of care. You don't have to go through so much information, and it streamlines the validation process. Okay, let's go ahead and create a new run report. And this one is going to be a 911 scene response. The first thing you will take note of is at the top left, it displays the name of the template you are currently using. In this case, the 911 scene response template. In FieldBridge, all of the tabs are listed across the top of the screen, whereas in Elite, the tabs are displayed on the left side with subtabs within each of the main tabs. Over at the top right, there are pop-out windows for times, mileage, a new timeline feature, which I'll go into later, and worksheets, which I'll also go over in part 2. The Power Tools menu is listed here on the right as well, or you can select the All tab down at the bottom, and it will display all of the power tools in a pop-out window as well. Up at the top, there's a Save button that you can manually select to save your progress, but Elite does auto-save your progress as you are completing your run report. The Post button is where you click to post your PCR after you have completed the run report. Just note that once you have posted your report, you will be unable to edit the information within the PCR. If any changes need to be made after you have posted your report, get with the supervisor and they will be able to assist you. The Print button pulls up a window that allows you to select a type of pre-hospital care report should you need to print your report, or if you want to view your report prior to posting. For now, the default print report for all types of PCRs is the Comprehensive Pre-Hospital Care Report, with the exception of a call canceled or standby. So the EKG tab here at top is where you can import your data from the Zol-X monitors, and is very similar to what you did in the FieldBridge version. Just follow the on-screen prompts and you should be able to complete that without any issues. The Close button here at the top can be used to close your report and store it on your dashboard for later completion. Just make sure you click Save to catch any information or progress that Elite didn't catch with the autosave. And then you can see that it saves it here on your incident list. Unfortunately for now, just like in FieldBridge, you still have to use the same computer that you started your report on. Down at the bottom of the screen, The Menu tab opens up an area where you can attach addendums and make other attachments. There's not a lot of high use for this, but this is where you can perform that type of task. If you click on the Validation tab, it opens up a list of validation requirements that have not yet been satisfied based on the information you have entered into the report thus far. If you click on the arrow box on the right side next to the validation, it will take you directly to that specific field within the report. The number displayed within the Validation tab is the percentage of completion of the PCR as it pertains to the validation requirements. Just a quick note to explain a little bit about validation requirements. Each patient care report submitted has to adhere to certain standards that are set forth by the state and the National EMS Information System, or NEMSIS, for data collection, as well as compliance standards for patient care reporting. It is for this reason you see those red boxes, and based on certain data you enter or do not enter, it may either fulfill validation requirements or create new validation requirements as you are completing your run report. Just to show you an example, you can see these areas in patient history, provider actions, and patient assessment are displayed in blue, indicating no validation requirements are necessary at this time. But if you entered a time under arrived at patient date and time, you can see those areas change from blue to red, indicating further validation is required. Some of the validation requirements are set forth by NEMSIS at a national level, and some are set by the state of Missouri, but a lot of the validation errors and requirements that you will see are set by us as a service for either standard of care purposes or for logical reasons. The example I showed you before with entering an arrived at patient time is an example of a national or state validation requirement. If we opened up crew members, you can see that even after the crew members were added, there is still a validation error. If you click on the exclamation mark to the left of the validation field, it gives you the reason for the validation error. In this case, primary patient caregiver is assigned to multiple crew members. Since there should only be one crew member assigned as the primary care provider for any given call and any additional crew members assigned as secondary care provider, this is an example of a service-defined or logical validation. Obviously, if you wanted to fix this, then you would just need to change one of the crew member roles from primary care provider to secondary care provider. And you can see that it fulfills the validation requirement. Now, you may be asking, why did I need to know all that about validation? And the main reason is that Elite is new to us as a service, and we had to start from scratch in developing it for our particular service. With that said, this is an ongoing process. We have tried to make all of the validation rules as easy to fulfill as possible, but that requires us to write them with the most likely or common scenario that we may encounter in mind. There may be a scenario or combination of things that we cannot foresee, so you may run into a validation error that you cannot easily identify or see how to fix. If this occurs, bring it to Doug's or a supervisor's attention, and we will get it corrected as soon as we can. This will conclude Part 1. Please continue Part 2.